some clarification of why Drew Smith is not able to play for Missouri this year, because Missouri's blaming UE for not signing off on the, whatever they had to sign off on so he can play, to give them permission to go, he can go ahead and play. And then UE is saying that they did everything they're in, and it was Missouri's fault for not handling things on their end. So I just want to know if you can speak on maybe some of the clarification on why Drew Smith can't play this year.
Well, I'll do what I can for you. By the scope of the rule, he can't, because if you transfer from one division school to another division school, you have to set out a year before you can retain your eligibility. Some schools have allowed waivers in that. Drew basically wanted to transfer because he was heart and soul in with Marty Simmons, the former head basketball coach, and he basically has told me that he came to UE because he wanted to play for Coach Simmons. Nothing against Coach McCarty, but he liked Coach Simmons' style of basketball, and he decided once Coach Simmons was not there that he would take his talent somewhere else. The university did not yank his scholarship, which is supposed to be a reason for the transfer not to take place. So if you go by the tenet of the rule, UE is correct in not allowing him to play immediately. But I think there's a little bit of truth both ways, and there's a little bit of sour feelings both ways. Drew with the University of Evansville, and the University of Evansville with Drew, because Evansville without Smith this year, they really had a major retooling job. And it's just one of those things in college basketball. Players come to play for a certain coach, and when the coach leaves, because Drew honestly had no want to stay at UE without Simmons being there. But by the tenet of the rule for the transfer to be immediately, UE has to rescind their scholarship offer to Smith, and that they did not do.
We're talking with Walt Ferber, WITC Program Director, and obviously Sports Director down in Jasper, ESPN3 TV for the University of Evansville. All around Indiana high school football and basketball. Matt Hicks, that's kind of your wheelhouse as well. Guys, let's talk a little bit about the top stories of 2018. Matt, I'll turn it over to you because I know that you and Walt both certainly do a lot of high school coverage, and we're going to play a little homer game here. I know we're in high school still, but certainly there's been a lot of good high school games that we've seen throughout the year, and you guys have your ears to that a lot more than what we do here on the national scale, even though we're based in Indianapolis. So, Matt, I'll turn it over to you. Whatever you got for Walt Ferber, you go, sir. Matt, are you still with us? I think we lost Matt. So go ahead. We'll just go with you on that question there. Go ahead, Walt.
Talking about high school, well, last year the big story in our neck of the woods, it was 2A and Forest Park, as Forest Park made it all the way to the state finals last year. They had a great senior in Sam Englert and a Division I prospect in Kurt Hope, who started last year as a freshman. That would be at the top of the line. Also, Evansville Bossy's advance last year in the tournament was certainly big. And as far as high school basketball, this year, a number of good local teams in our area. We're hitting holiday tournament time right now. Team to look out for this year is Southridge. They've got a kid, a sophomore named Colson Montgomery. It's being looked at by programs as high up as Indiana University. He's starting to get his sea legs, and Southridge is starting to play extraordinarily well. You look at this area, Evansville Rights. They've got a young point guard that's already been offered by Kansas, so they look pretty good down in the Evansville area. Southern Indiana was Romeo Langford. Finally graduated from New Albany last year, and all the IU fans see what he's doing for Indiana University now. They're doing a little rebuilding down there. And in the southern part of the state, Floyd Central is a really good-looking program right now. You may want to look for Floyd Central to possibly be in Indianapolis at the end of the year.
Rick Reagan, our executive producer of The Balance. We're talking about the top 2018 story in sports. Before we let you go, as you look back at college basketball in 2018, and certainly as we're looking forward to Indiana University as well, as we mentioned, certainly Romeo has shown up, and what a huge win that was against Butler. One could say Indiana was playing better than it has, and Butler is playing worse than it had, and it kind of collided there at the Crossroads Classics. But talk with us a little bit about some of the most memorable times for you in sports, whether local or nationally, here in 2018.
Is that for me or for Walt, Tom? That was for me?
Oh, I am so sorry. It's for you, Rick, and if you want to say anything to Walt, go right ahead, buddy.
Well, yeah, since I have Walt Ferber here with us, I mean, it's great. You know, a couple of Evansville guys, and we'll just keep it right here local. For me, I'm a Central High School graduate. Yeah, I mean, I'm an old guy but a young guy at the same time compared to you guys. So, yeah, I graduated in 97.
What are you trying to say there, Rick?
But a huge sports story for me, 2018, here locally, probably my top story is Evansville Central, my alma mater, making it to the state finals for the first time ever in football, and that game going to 4 overtimes in the way they lost, and what an epic game that was, and just what a season Central High School had. For me, that's locally, that is my top story, and I'd say number 2 just because I know this kid's dad, Dirk Lindauer. Michael Lindauer signing with Cincinnati, to me, that's a really big deal. Anytime we get a local kid, you know, Memorial's a quarterback, as any local kid really, going a big program like Cincinnati, any big Division I program, and can actually compete, and if they get to play and be a starter, if he gets to be a starter at Cincinnati, that is huge for me. I love it when our local talent here can really go to the next level and really shine. So Evansville Central. And then I'd say my number 2 story locally here for 2018 is Michael Lindauer.
Go ahead. What are your thoughts?
I would agree with that. Looking at Evansville, that Central State Championship game was one of the best state championships I've ever seen, and it's something you don't normally see in high school football. That was a titanic defensive battle, and Central should be very, very proud of the season they had. And I've watched Michael Lindauer the last several years kick Jasper's butt in football on a yearly basis. He is good, and he is one of those late recruits. He had already verbal to Southern Illinois University, an FCS school in the Missouri Valley Football Conference, and he started getting some late D1 interest as Cincinnati came into the picture. He decommitted from Southern Illinois and is going to be a member of the Cincinnati Bearcats football team. He's one of the best, certainly one of the best that I've seen. I think he's got a good shot there, and he's a great multi-sport athlete. The fact of the matter is he also is an excellent basketball and baseball player. He's helping Rick Wilgus's Evansville Memorial basketball team, and he is one of the better pitchers/shortstops in baseball. So he could have had the opportunity not only to play college football, but he could have played Division I college baseball, might have even been drafted, and could have on a smaller level played college basketball. So Lindauer, one of the better people that you're going to see in the city of Evansville. Also, Branson Combs, a receiver on that team, is going to be playing at Southern Illinois. So Evansville Memorial has had an outstanding last several years, and they've got some very, very good guys there. Kudos to Evansville Central. I was just there last night for Jasper Evansville Central basketball, and a heck of a year for them in football as they were going for their first ever state championship. So yeah, I think those 2 stories are very good indeed.
Well, we've been talking with Walt Ferber. We appreciate you taking some time out of your busy schedule to join us. As you look back at 2018, what is some of the top sports stories, either locally or nationally, Walt, that come to mind?
Well, the thing that comes to me, and this is just several weeks ago, Tony Ahrens is Jasper High School football. He took over for Jerry Brewer, who was the all-time state winningest coach, and has had an outstanding winning percentage. He had an 81% winning percentage over the time he was there, and at the football banquet this year decided that he was going to retire from the game. And I know that Jasper football is certainly going to miss him very, very much. They're in the process now of searching for a new coach. There will be applications for that taken through January 4th, and we'll find out who the new football coach is at the February school board meeting, and it will continue to be the year of the Raider. So Southridge was the 2A state champion in 2017 in high school football. They then went on in basketball and won their first ever 3A sectional basketball title at Huntingburg Memorial. And then in high school baseball last year, they ended up going all the way to the state final game and having a chance with the bases loaded and 2 outs to come up with a win and coming up a little bit short in their final games. That would be certainly the top for me. As far as on a statewide level, the resurgence of the Indianapolis Colts would be right up there. Obviously, Luck coming back and having an outstanding year, and also a blue-collar resurgence of the Indiana Pacers. As with the loss of Paul George, I got to give the management their credit as they've retooled that team basically and got a steal, getting the players they got in that trade with Victor Oladipo and Bojan Bogdanovic, who both played extraordinarily well. Pacers really have a chance to have a first round home court advantage in the NBA playoffs. So I certainly like what they have done, and also in my area, Summer League baseball. The team that I cover, the Dubois County Bombers, won the first ever Bluegrass World Series, as they ended up knocking off a team of former major leaguers coached by Johnny Bench. So it has been a very busy sports year in our neck of the woods, and I think in the state of Indiana it has been an incredible sports year. And then you can get on talking about highlights of the year. Notre Dame football. They are playing Clemson today in the national semifinals. So they always expect Notre Dame to be good, but they have a chance for a national championship this year. So that's going to be one of the top stories also.
Rick, we're going to give you the final word for Walt. As you mentioned, Rick is a big Notre Dame guy as well. That's a great segue into our next segment here in just a moment with Ed Kratz. We're going to be talking some NFL. But go ahead, Rick, what are your final thoughts for Walt as we have him on today?
Yeah, Walt, I'm glad you brought up Notre Dame there at the end, because that's where I was going to go with my next big story for 2018, because the biggest story for me for 2018 kicks off at about 3 o'clock today. So that's where I'm going to be. That's where my head is right now. I've been a nervous wreck ever since they made the playoff, 3 weeks ago, just because the season ended. So I'm glad, Walt, that you brought that up, and it is really nice talking to you today.
Well, we appreciate – go ahead.
A pleasure, gentlemen. Always fun being on your show.
All right. We'll look forward to having you on again. You have yourself a good new year. Walt Ferber joins us. Rick, I tell you what, he's a class act, and I don't think you've ever actually met him. Walt Ferber from WITZ, program director down in Jasper there in QKZ, and then ESPN3 with the University of Evansville. He has his pulse on everything as far as University of Evansville, but high school football, high school basketball. If it comes to being a homer here in Indiana, Walt is your first guy to go to and talk with, so great guest to have him on. Let's segue into that. By the way, just for those of you that might be scratching their heads, why aren't these guys taking a break? Well, I'm asking myself the same thing, but it looks like it's a problem, Rick, that I have to fix offline, so we're just going to have to just keep going without any commercials, and that's just how it's going to roll today. So, but Ed Kratz is going to be joining us here momentarily, and we're going to be talking some NFL, best of NFL, and obviously the elephant in the room, and that's the NFL playoff picture. But let's talk about the bowl games that are going on today. Obviously, you've got Notre Dame and you've got Alabama, two of the biggest, not playing together, obviously, but two of the biggest games of the year. are going on right today, and a lot can happen and see what happens. But